right, good morning all. Morning, Miss Honey. All right. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our guests. They have traveled from far away, which we can see, and they'll tell us exactly where they're from in a moment. I want to thank all of you for coming and spending your fourth period with us. Yes, sorry. And to your teachers for allowing you this opportunity, which doesn't come around often, okay? So for the next 60 minutes or so, hopefully we are going to have a wonderful, dynamic, international conversation regarding the role of the press, okay? The impact of media on domestic and foreign policy, and as teenagers, how do you consume digital media, okay? Today, as part of our Library Speakers Series, we have with us members of the Department of State and 15 distinguished journalists from around the world. These journalists are part of the Department of State's International Visitor Leadership Program, and the focus of their visit is to see how American students are being guided to become more discerning consumers of information. Mrs. Griffin, a member of the Applied Arts Department, which many of you have, made this visit possible, but unfortunately she could not be here today, so I am her proxy for today. So, here at Algonquin, right, the freshmen use a program called Checkology as part of your Computer Essentials course, and it is a main component of your media literacy part of your course, right? Mrs. Griffin was one of the main adopters of that course, and as a result, the News Literacy Project reached out to her to arrange this visit. The main component or main drive of the News Literacy Project is to devise programs that help teach students in this world of fake news, what is real and what is not fake, and how to consume that, okay? So as a result as an extension of Mrs. Griffin's work, that of the Department of State and the News Literacy Project, we have this wonderful opportunity to interact with journalists outside of the United States, and they will give us our perspective, and you will get to share yours. So, I would like you to give a warm welcome to our visitors. And I'd like them to take the opportunity to introduce themselves. Before we do so, Fahmi, you have anything you'd like to say? Okay, well, if they could first introduce themselves and the organization they work from and the country from which they come, that would be great.
My name is Adam Ali Adam from Chad and Maps.
Good morning. My name is Ahmed Rikabi from in Iraq, the TV channels NRT Arabiya. Thank you.
My name is Tawasif Al-Anizi from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh newspaper.
Hi, my name is Zaid Dakhil from Jordan. I work Al-Ghad newspaper.
My name is Ahmed Al-Rubay'i from Iraq, General City newspaper Al-Alam Al-Jadid.
Good morning all. My name is Bassam Madhoun from Palestine. I'm working as news roving reporter with some channels.
Good morning. Sarah Safar from Kuwait. I work in Kuwait News Agency, Kona.
Hello, Rita Jamal from Lebanon. I'm a journalist and senior editor in a news website called Lebanon Debate.
Good morning, everybody. Khalil Ameri, the journalist from Tunisia. I work in Mosaic FM.
Good morning. My name is Imen. I am attaché press of Prime Ministry. I am from Tunisia.
Good morning. I'm Badawi Badi from Sudan, broadcasting in North Kordofan, one of Sudanese states. Thank you.
Also, I wanted to introduce my two distinguished colleagues from the Department of State Language Services, Ms. Asma Abdi. She's a simultaneous interpreter for the Department of State. She will be helping them understand some of the questions that you might have. And Mr. Ahmed is at the other end, is a simultaneous interpreter as well. My name is Fahmi Slail. I also work for the Department of State Language Services. And whenever you're ready, we are ready to start.
يعني سعداء جدا بتواجدنا بينكم اليوم، ويعني أنا حابب إنه يكون في حدا يتبرع يرد علي بهذا السؤال، إنه أنا كزائر دولي موجود اليوم بينكم في هذه البلد، بحب يعني تطرح لي مثال وتحكي لي عن بلدك وتعكس لي إياها بشكل إيجابي حببني فيها. أنا شفتها ورحت على عدد من الولايات ويعني حاولت إني أخذ ثقافة جديدة. بدي أسمع منكم كمان.
Good morning. We are so happy to be here with you. I'd like to have a volunteer to answer this question. For me, as an international visitor, I came to your country, I've seen your country, and I loved it very much. But I want one of you to tell me, why should I love your country?
The mic is here with me, so anybody volunteering?
Yeah, so your question was why should you love our country? Because it's a good place for people of all different cultures to come and meet other people of different cultures to give and to get some insight on other people's lives.
Start from the beginning and speak loudly.
All right. Your question was why should you love our country? Well, America is a good place for multiple people of various cultures to sort of come together and to sort of learn more about each other, and it's also a good place for people to get a new start. I have a couple of people in my family who came from Nigeria and are doing things in engineering and aerospace sciences.
لدي سؤال. هو ما الذي جعلكم تقدمون لنا دعوة طبعا تلتقون بنا؟ هل يعني بسبب السيرة الذاتية أم لأننا من الشرق الأوسط؟ هذا السؤال يا أستاذ أحمد.
Okay, thank you so much. My question is, why did you invite us? Is it because of our biographies or because we are coming from the Middle East?
So the invitation was actually extended to us to have you come to us. So this is kind of a hidden gem for us and a wonderful experience we would have had, but it was extended to Mrs. Griffin through the News Literacy Project.
صباح الخير مرة ثانية.
لحظة
اليوم
أحمد.
أصبحت وسائل
أحمد لحظة بس. They have a question here.
No, I just wanted. I have a really loud voice. Okay.
I just wanted to say that while the invitation was given to us for you guys to come here, I think one of the really interesting things, or one of the main reasons that I'm happy that you guys are here, is because we always see journalists from America. We see news from America. We see how people interact with social things around our country. So I think it's really interesting that we get to meet people who come from a different place, who might, like your guys' news, your guys' journalism, like your journals, everything. What you guys do is like much different. So I feel like it's very interesting to be able to have kind of a different insight than like what we're used to seeing all the time.
شكرا جزيلا. سؤالي اليوم مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي أصبحت وباتت موجودة للجميع أنه يستخدم مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. أنتم كطلاب شلون تنظرون إلى مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي؟ شلون ممكن أنه تقيمون التفاعل اللي موجود؟ وأنتم أيضا هل تحبون التواصل عبر مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي أم هناك تواصل أكتف بينكم داخل المدرسة أو خارج المدرسة؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you so much. My question is about the social media. For you as a student, how do you look at different social media platforms, and how do you evaluate being on the social media platforms? Do you consider the social media is the main tool for you to communicate, or is it better to communicate personally? So how do you look at the scene?
Hi. I think for social media nowadays, it's become sort of a very important piece in our lives, and I think it's a helpful tool in terms of gaining information and spreading information, but it's also important that we use it responsibly and communicate interpersonally additionally. And the use of social media, like I said, it can spread information so much quicker than by word of mouth. But communicating in person and communicating with the spoken word is still such an important piece in human life that I think it's important that we keep it.
Social media has become a large part in a lot of teens' lives, and so now I've noticed that more people have started to tend to like go towards social media to communicate, but interpersonal communication is so important because it's like the way you would interact with someone else, and that's something we shouldn't lose because of social media. Like going off of what he said, social media is a great way to spread information, but we have to be careful about what information is being spread, whether it's true or false, or like the kinds of things we're spreading and the messages we're sending to people. Thank you.
أنا بس أحب يعني أجاوب على السؤال اللي طرحته إحدى الطالبات بخصوص موضوع تجربتنا في الصحافة في مناطقنا في منطقة الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا. بشكل مختصر إحنا يعني البيئة اللي نعيش بها بيئة غير آمنة للعمل الصحفي، وبيئة غير آمنة أيضا لحرية التعبير، وهذا طبعا متوفر في يعني هاي البيئة متوفرة في أمريكا. أمريكا تعتبر بلد الديمقراطية وحرية الرأي والتعبير. أوكي، أعطيك مجال الترجمة. فهذا الشيء يعني لربما انتم محط حسد بالنسبه ان انتم تعيشون في هذه البيئه. الشيء الاخر الاساسي، انا شخصيا يعني ما درست كليه الاعلام، درست كليه العلوم السياسيه، وبالتالي لما يعني كان انتمائي او انخراطي في العمل الصحفي هو بناء عن رغبتي الشخصيه والذاتيه. شفت انه من الضروري جدا انه اشتغل في مجال الصحافه والاعلام. واجهت كثير من التحديات من المخاطر، حتى حتى وصلت مرحلة الاعتقال، لكن حاولت بقدر الإمكان أنه أستمر في هذا العمل. طبعا الصحافة بها متغيرات وفيها مراحل عدة. احنا اليوم نعيش في زمن السوشيال ميديا. السوشيال ميديا هو اللي يسيطر على التدوين، بدأ يسيطر ويفرض قوته على الصحافة. فحاول يعني نحاول بقدر الامكان انه شلون ممكن نواكب ما بين العمل الصحفي وما بين العمل في يعني شلون عمليه الربط ما بين الصحافه يعني والتدوين. خلونا نحكي.
Ahmed is from Iraq. So he wants to answer the question that was raised earlier about journalists coming from the Middle East and how it's a good opportunity to see how journalists are working overseas compared to journalists here in the United States. So he's saying that journalism in the Middle East and Africa, things are completely different. The environment itself, it's not safe for journalists to be working. We don't have freedom of speech in most of the region, and this is totally different from the United States. There is here freedom of the press, the freedom of speech, and we envy you for that. So it is very difficult environment for journalists to be working in the Middle East. Lots of challenges we face in our daily work. For example, for myself, I studied political science. I didn't study journalism, but I loved being a journalist, and I became a journalist despite all the risks that I was aware of when I started working as a journalist in Iraq. I was arrested because of my work, and I can tell you that now we see a lot of changes on the ground with the social media and the different news outlets everywhere. But for us as journalists, we have to always work to connect the two worlds. The traditional world of traditional media outlets, newspapers, TV channels, and the new world, the world of the digital media and social media. Thank you.
طيب ممكن أسأل؟ خلاص أنا أسأل مباشرة. طيب طيب شكرا. أنا سؤالي فيما يتعلق ب في كليات الإعلام نقول لوسائل الاتصال الجماهيري التقليدية، الإذاعة والتلفزيون والصحف، هذه نسميها تقليدية، وفي إعلام جديد اللي هو مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي والمدونات وكذا. على أي مدى هم كمراهقين يتعرضون لوسائل الاتصال الجماهيري التقليدية، يعني الإذاعة والتلفزيون، ومدى استفادتهم منها؟ معروف أن ومدى يعني تجنبهم للسلبيات في الإعلام المفتوح، مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي، لأن هذه مفتوحة فيها المخاطر كثيرة، والتقليدية قد تكون فيها المخاطر مقللة شوية. فعلى أي مدى هم يستفيدوا من التقليدي وكيف يتجنبوا السلبيات في المفتوح هذا؟
I promise, guys, this is the last question. After that, it's all yours. You raise the questions that you have, so we want you to benefit more. I don't want them to take everything. You know, I want you to take most of the time. So the question from Adam is, when we teach journalism and news media, now we differentiate between the traditional media and the new media. But my question for you is, how do you look at the traditional media? Do you watch TV? Do you take news from newspapers, or it's all from the digital media? Especially when it comes to responsibility and transparency and credibility, we can look at the traditional media as a better source for news. So for you, do you get news from the TV, from newspapers, magazines, things like that? Or it's only the social media? And if it's only the social media, how do you ensure that you are not part of the fake news game?
Hey, I think it's comes down to what you want to believe, and it's a really big thing to differentiate between the social media and the traditional media, because sometimes what people put on social media can be a bit biased. So, going back to this, I want to say that you want to make sure the information is credible, not only credible but reliable. So when I see something on social media, it's a news article, I double check CNN, I double check Britannica, I double check all of that, because you don't want any anything biased going around. Personally, if enough biased news goes around, it can create a lot of misunderstandings. So I like to say, to answer your question, double check the facts, and if digital isn't working, just go to a newspaper or something else.
Hi, I think it's also kind of hard for us to distinguish between social media and traditional media, because a lot of those major news outlets which are on the television or like have magazines or whatever it is, they're also gravitating towards social media and are distributing information in order to get to that other demographic that doesn't necessarily watch TV or like read the newspaper. So it's sort of different because it's not necessarily receiving one set of information from the newspaper versus TV versus like Instagram or whatever it is. You're getting like all these different sources in all of these different platforms, and it's sort of available, whether it's biased or whether it's factual, it's sort of available in all these different forms, and we sort of encounter it in like the different ways. So it's kind of harder to distinguish between not only the news sources and the types of media, but also the biases, because you see it in all of the different like platforms and types of media as well.
One thing about social media that is pretty prevalent is it's almost impossible to avoid bias from any source. Pretty much anything you find is going to be biased in some way, shape, or form, whether you realize it or not. So what I personally try and do, I follow a bunch of different accounts, whether it be leftist, right, authoritarian, liberal. You find the facts that overlap in between them. You try and pick out your own truths about them. It's really hard to take everything on there without a grain of salt. So you see what about it that you agree with, you find is true, and then you make up your own decisions about it rather than taking the whole truth from someone else.
Hello. I'd like to talk about the development of consumption of traditional media into social media. So growing up, there was a time when I remember the news channel was always on. There were magazines and newspapers in the house. But these days, as both adults and teenagers alike have shifted towards social media, no longer can I access the information which was stored on paper in a physical space in my own home. And with my parents and my friends and the people around me, it is much quicker and easier to use social media. So regardless if it is accurate or biased or unbiased, it is the ease of it has made it more popular than any sort of traditional media. And I see this with both first-hand sources, so direct newspaper, like news articles, and both from social platforms which you connect to other people and people share second-hand accounts of stories.
So I'm just gonna answer the question in Arabic first for them, and then I'll translate to English for you guys. فيعني أول إشي بحس إنه هون السوشيال ميديا عنا يعني كتير يعني يعني احنا بنحس انه السوشيال ميديا اكبر هون، فاحنا يعني بنمضي اكتر وقت هون. زي ما يعني لما بزور هون كل حدا على تليفونهم، على الفيسبوك وعلى الانستغرام وعلى السناب شات يعني تويتر، كل شيء كل شيء كل شيء. فيعني بتشوف النوز وبشوف الاخبار عليهم، يعني كتير صعب انه ما تشوف اشي يعني تعرف. بس بحس يعني لما بتروح على زي انا لما بروح على عمان بحس انه كل حدا يعني بالصبح يعني جدي بقرا المجلات وبقرا شو اسمه النيوز بيبر، ويعني بحس انه يعني نشوف الاخبار على التلفزيون اكتر مما نشوف على التليفون، صح؟ او يعني ما بنمضي اكتر وقت على التليفون مما بنمضي هون. فهو عن جد صعب انه لما بتشوف الاخبار على التليفون على انستغرام او على تويتر، بحس انه يعني كتير صعب، لانه زي ما حكى من واحد من قبل انه فيك بايس، كتير 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 في بايس. عن جد لازم تروح على multiple sites على شوف يعني هون ما في كتير ناس بتسأل أي حدا، يعني ما بنقرأ المجلات وما بنقرأ يعني النيوز بيبر وما ما بنشوف يعني النيوز على التلفزيون، يعني يمكن زمان بس هلأ يعني مع التليفونات ما بنشوفه كتير. وهو عن جد صعب إنه يعني لازم تدبل تشيك وفاكت تشيك وكل شيء، هذا كتير 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 مهم. وفي ناس إنه هذا especially عم يصير مشاكل منه. فهلا يعني الناس مو كتير عارفين يعني ايش الصح من الغلط وايش عن جد عم يصير، ويعني اذا هذا النوز يعني هذا الاخبار من واحد يعني we can trust، صح؟ ف يعني بحس لانه السوشيال ميديا هون it's more impacting من ما يعني بيكون أصعب هون إنه تعرف يعني شو صح من الغلط، تعرف yeah. So basically guys, what I just told them yeah, it was long, I'll shorten it real quick. Basically I just said that from my experience when I go to Jordan, which is one of the countries there, people are more inclined to read from the newspapers, check the news, and talk about things like by word of mouth. And here, as I don't think many people, at least not compared to there, read the newspaper or watch the news anymore. Maybe beforehand, yes, but not really anymore. You don't really see your newspapers anymore. But I was basically explaining, because social media is such a highly impactful thing here versus there, they don't really use it as much as we do. It's a lot harder for us to check our facts and to kind of know what's real and fake because of so many biases, and just in general, it's you're getting a ton of different sources from a ton of different people. Like everywhere you go, it's really hard to honestly avoid finding news, and especially fake news nowadays. So I just explained that like you just gotta really fact check that you're getting it from a reliable source, and not just somebody who's biased, but somebody who is credible.
I feel like there sort of tends to be a difference in the level of how much information you absorb about a certain issue. And social media, you can really see sort of immediately like the very basic facts about any given issue, really whether or not you want to see it. And then if you want to learn more about an issue and see more sides of it, that's when you turn to a more traditional news source and you read like an article or watch the news to sort of learn a little bit more. But it's sort of an extra step that you have to willingly choose, whereas you can sort of learn whatever you want on a very basic level through social media.
essentially just how do you deal with any form of censorship in your countries personally?
السؤال كان بخصوص مسألة الرقابة في البلدان العربية. بخصوص السؤال هذا فقط معلومة في البداية اللي تكون يعني بالنسبة لكم أنتم أكيد ما عندكمش دراية كبيرة بالدول العربية. في الدول العربية تختلف حسب الدولة حسب المنطقة مسألة الحريات خاصة على المستوى الصحفي. بالنسبة للتجربة باش نحكي على في تونس تقريبا مشابهة للحريات اللي موجودة في أمريكا واللي موجودة في أوروبا، يعني فماش فرق تقريبا. مسألة الرقابة نحن في بصدد بناء ربما ديمقراطية، الحرية نسبة الحرية مرتفعة. و بخصوص مسألة ربما الفرق الوحيد هو مسألة بناء المؤسسات. المؤسسات تفرق بين اللي موجودة في أمريكا وبين اللي موجودة في تونس فقط.
Mr. Khalil from Tunisia, for you probably don't have enough information about most of the countries that we are represent, but it's every country is different, every region is different, so not all of us are the same, especially in the topic or the issue of freedoms. For example, in Tunisia, we enjoy a lot of freedom, especially freedom of press. We have the same kind of freedom that exists in the United States or Europe, and we are about to, especially after the revolution, we are about to build a democracy in Tunisia. But probably the only difference between United States and Tunisia, it's the institutions, and it's a very distinguished or significant difference between Tunisia and United States. It's regarding the institutions. Also, we have Miss Safar from Kuwait, and she have an opinion about that.
راح أتكلم عن تجربتي في الكويت. بالنسبة للرقابة ببساطة نحترم رقابتنا. بدولتنا عندنا قانون للمسموع والمطبوع والمرئي. عندنا شروط معينة للكتابة والتعبير. إذا خالفنا هالشيء راح نتعرض لعقوبات. فأن بسهولة نحترم الرقابة عندنا.
Ms. Safar from Kuwait, regarding censorship, we have codes, laws regarding publication, or whether like TV or whatever broadcast. We have these conditions, or we have these codes, and we are abide by it, and we have to respect it as a journalist whenever we are expressing our opinion, and will be subjected to discipline if it's like we violated these codes.
أما بخصوصنا في فلسطين يختلف الأمر بعض الشيء إلى حد ما. هناك حرية عندما يتعلق الأمر تحت غطاء ما تريده السلطات، وإنما إذا تم مخالفة ذلك باختيار بعض المصطلحات في الكتابة الصحفية أو في كتابة الأخبار أو نقل شيء لا يود القادة هناك نقله، قد يعرضك لبعض المتاعب، وإن كانت يعني ليست بشكل مباشر، يعني ستعاقب ولكن بشكل غير مباشر، ما بعرف كيف يعني نقولها، انه تجيك مشكله او متاعب من نواحي اخرى. ولكن مع ذلك كله يحاول الصحفيون بوضوح دائما التآزر مع بعضهم، الوقوف مع بعضهم في وجه اي ظلم قد يقع على الصحفيين هناك.
لو سمحت مرر المايك احمد، بليز مرر المايك احمد بليز.
Yeah, for us in Palestine, things are different when it comes to freedoms. You have the freedom to say whatever you want as long as these things are going with what the authority or the government or the leadership wants. But if you are going to say something that the leaders don't like, then they are going to just try to punish you. Maybe indirectly, they can use some other tools to punish you. But at the end, we as journalists, we work together. We try to collaborate in different aspects. So at the end, we can support each other and we can make our life easier. But that's the thing. If you want to say something that the government likes, it's okay. You can say whatever you want. But if you want to say something the government doesn't, then no. This is a red line.
I just have a quick question of our students. Raise of hands. How many of you are concerned for your safety if you say something against our present government? How many of you feel absolutely free to walk out of this building and say whatever you would like about our present government? Right? So how many of you would feel absolutely comfortable walking down the main street of your country saying anything you would like to about your government? About you. Feel. Okay.
My question's like basic, but why did you guys decide to participate on this panel?
اي اوكي. انا
بالنسبة لي أنا لأني أدرس في الماجستير يعني التاريخ الأوروبي والتاريخ الأمريكي، هذا أول سبب. وحبيت يعني أعرف يعني أمريكا عن قرب، أو الثقافة الأمريكية يعني عن قرب، لأني دائما أقرأ في الكتب فحبيت يعني أراها عن قرب. هذا أول سبب. ثاني سبب حبيت برضو أعرف السياسة كيف تتعامل أمريكا في سياساتها الخارجية عن طريق هذا البرنامج. وتعلمت يعني كانت تجربة جدا جميلة، وتعلمت الكثير من الأشياء اللي ما كنت أو خلينا نقول غيرت كثير من المفاهيم. يعني هذه الرحلة غيرت كثير من المفاهيم، يعني سواء تجاه الشعب الأمريكي أو حتى السياسة الخارجية الأمريكية. طيب. هو نفس السبب الأول اللي هو ودي أتعرف على المجتمع الأمريكي عن قرب، وبرضو حتى أنقل لهم صورة يعني عن الشرق الأوسط، يعني تحديدا المملكة العربية السعودية.
So I'd like to say Tawasif is from Saudi Arabia, and she's studying the master's degree in political and defense history of the United States and Europe. So for her, she wants to say first, why did she participate in the IVLP program, the exchange program that she came to participate in. She wanted to know more about the United States, its culture, and to see people and to see what she has been always reading about. This was her first visit to the United States, so she wanted to see up close how things are, how the people are, how everything is on the ground here in the United States, how the foreign policy is being shaped in the United States, what are the main players to shape foreign policy. And for coming to the school, it's the same goal, to see all of you, to see how do you think how do you see the world outside, and also to tell you about Saudi Arabia.
نحن عنا بلبنان عنا الانجليش والفرنشي من اللغات الأساسية اللي بندرسها بالمدرسة، وأنا على الصعيد الشخصي درست حقوق ودرست قانون أمريكي. فكنت حابة أجي على هذا البلد كرمال شوف القصص اللي أنا درستها بالجامعة، وبلس نحن بلبنان عنا كتير سياسة، يعني في تواصل سياسي مع أمريكا، وفي هبات عسكرية أو تواصل سياسي بين لبنان وأمريكا. فباللقاءات كان عنا لقاءات مع أشخاص مسؤولين سياسيين، وكنت حابة أعرف كمان وجهة نظرهم للشرق الأوسط للبنان تحديدا. ومن أهم الأشياء كمان اللي حبيتها بالبرنامج إنه كان عنا تفاعل مع متقاعدين، مع هلأ حضرتكم طلاب كمان. فهذا شيء كتير حلو، وكل صحافي بيطمح دايما يتعرف على ثقافات كل البلدان. يعني لو بيصير لي روح على الصين، على الهند، بروح تشوف كل بلد شو بيتميز وشو بيفرق عنا نحن بلبنان أو بباقي البلدان. بحب بس أقول للطلاب إنه الحلو بالطلاب بشكل عام بأمريكا وفيهم إنه عندهم ثقة كتير قوية بحالهم، وبتحسهم دايما أكبر من عمرهم.
In Lebanon, Miss Al Jamal, from a representative from Lebanon. We have in Lebanon, we teach Arabic and English and French. In Lebanon, and for myself, I study law and American law. I came here on this program to see what are the stories that I read during my studies and all the things that I was learned in school. I want to see it and touch it in real life. Add to that, we in Lebanon we have a good relationship with the United States, especially political one. Also, we have a military collaboration between United States and Lebanese army. And add to that, we had the privilege to meet with many politicians, American politicians, and that's helped me to raise the question regarding what they view the relationship between the United States and Lebanon and the Middle East as well. During this visit, I got the chance to meet a lot of retired people here in the United States, and this is a good opportunity for me to meet with young people like yours. And as a journalist, I'm always curious and trying to investigate and to see whether if I went to China, I would like to see all kind of people, whether retired people, whether students, and really what impresses me here, I saw the students here have self-confidence, they are enjoying life, and they love life. So this is my input. Thank you.
As journalists, how do you typically go about getting the news you then share and publish? Are you often getting it from primary sources, or are you passing on other information that you've heard or received?
شكرا جزيلا. طبعا سؤال حلو. عادة تكون تغطيات الأخبار، خصوصا أنه مواقع حساسة، نقوم بتغطيتها بتغطية مباشرة، تكون الأفضل طبعا والأقرب للمشاهد، وأكيد يعني المصادر تكون هي من داخل المكان اللي ممكن بالتغطية. تعتمد أولا على أرقام، صحافة الأرقام مهمة. أيضا باعتقادي أيضا تقارير الاستقصائية تحتاج إلى كمية هائلة من المعلومات والوثائق، فبالتالي أنه فعلا هي رحلة المثاعب بالصحافة العربية. أما بصحافتكم متاح جدا أمامكم الوثائق موجودة لكل الدوائر، بإمكانكم طلب وثيقة معينة أكيد يعني تكون مقربة لكم الصحافة وبرأيي أنا أريد أشوف سؤال تفاعلي. كم واحد منكم شاهد نشرة الأخبار أخير مرة يعني؟ لا تسألهم هذا السؤال تفاعلي.
Well, Ahmed is from Iraq, and he works for a news channel over there. So he's saying that always it's very important to have live feeds for the events, to go and to be close to the sources and to show people what's happening exactly. That's going to make you more credible, make people able to see what's happening always. And of course, we rely on sources inside the different places. So they provide us with tips, they provide us with information. But the journalist's work as well, his research, is very important. So aside from the sources, you have to develop your own research, your own sources as well, because important, numbers and statistics are very important in our work to provide more credibility for the stories you are covering or writing. But let me tell you that here in the United States, it's easier to be a journalist because you have the Freedom of Information Act. You can use it, you can go get the information you want, and you write whatever you want, and every agency, government agency or local agencies, they are mandated to provide you with the information that you seek. But for us in the Arab world, things are different. You have to do more efforts to get the information you need. But this is how it is. You love your job and you want to excel in what you're doing. And I have a question for you all by the show of hands. Who of you watched the news bulletin yesterday or recently on the TV? Yeah, just news broadcast or any of you.
كم واحد وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي فتح فيسبوك؟
العكس بقى. And for
I'd like to point something out to our hosts, that the point of view that you hear from the panel here is the point of view of the individual, the reporter, journalist, who is in that particular job and country. It would be helpful if you directed your question to hear the point of view from Sudan, Tunisia, Lebanon, Kuwait, Palestine, Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Chad. So what you hear as a response to your question is the point of view from that individual's perspective. None of them speak for each other. I hope that helps to clarify. If you'd like to ask a question, say this is to the panel, then put that in mind in terms of how you interpret that answer.
So freshmen think danger of a single story, remember? If we're only hearing a single story from a single place, just remember. I think there was a question.
For the journalist from Saudi Arabia, having visited the United States, how has your opinion of the nation's culture changed?
التغيرات الثقافية اللي في الولايات المتحدة.
الولايات المتحدة ولا من أي ناحية؟
In what aspect exactly? Like for political parties, for people, for what kind of changes specifically you're talking about?
Just a general change in opinion of what did you expect from how people in the country act versus how how have you seen? What have you observed from just everyday people?
أنا درست التاريخ الأمريكي من وجهات نظر متعددة، يعني من وجهة نظر مؤرخين عرب، مؤرخين أوروبيين، مؤرخين أمريكيين، فكان عندي يعني سقف الموضوعية عالي جدا. فأنا لما جيت هنا لأمريكا ما تفاجأت كثير، يعني كنت دائما يعني أرسم في مخيلتي الشعب الأمريكي لما أدرس، ووجدته كما هو، لكن ممكن بالزيارة هذه صار عندي، أنا كنت منبهرة بالسابق لكن الآن منبهرة أكثر، يعني من التعليم، من التنوع الثقافي، الاندماج يعني بين الأجناس، بين الثقافات، بين الأديان. هذه يعني كنت أقرأها، لكن لما وجدتها على الواقع انبهرت أكثر يعني. فهذا ممكن الفرق بين أنت تقرأ وبين أنت لما تزور يعني دولة وتتأكد يعني من صحة المعلومات.
I studied American history, and I've learned about the United States from different historians, Arab historians, European historians, and American historians. So objectivity, I had objectivity in looking at different aspects of the US society and culture. So I can tell you, can you hear me? Oh, we lost okay, give me. Yeah. So I can tell you that when I came here, I was not surprised with many things. But to be honest, I was impressed. And by time, over these last 3 weeks, I became even more impressed by what I've seen here in the United States, especially when it comes to coexistence between different ethnicities, different religions, people coming from everywhere. This is basically the main difference between what I've read and what I've seen here in reality.
Hello, I'd like to extend this question to the panel. So I was curious about what influences your decision to become a journalist. Was it from a mentor? Was it from personal resolve, or perhaps some other influence in your life? And how has that shaped your process of thinking, and both what topics you report on as well? Thank you.
طيب أنا بحد يعني شخصيا الإعلام كان جزء من اهتماماتي من قبل. في مرحلة الثانوية مثلكم يعني كنا نهتم بالإعلام والصحافة الجدارية. بعدها دخلت الجامعة، دخلت إعلام وبدأت الإعلام الممارسة أيضا من السنة الأولى. فبالتالي قناعة ذاتية.
I'm gonna try to do it simultaneously, guys, because the question is for the whole panel and it's gonna take forever to wait and do consecutive. So while they are talking, I will be talking as well, okay? So.
طيب قناعة ذاتية.
For me, it was basically coming out from myself.
أما في ما هي الأخبار التي ضغطتنا؟ طيب يعني الإعلام.
أوكي. تفضل. So for me, I studied mass communication at the university, but before that, even at secondary school or high schools, I paid attention, or I focused on studying journalism as well, and that was in high school. And after graduating from high school, I loved it, and that's why I studied journalism and mass communication. And when it comes to the beats I'm covering or the subjects I'm covering, it's basically news, covering news, because I believe that the main task or the main responsibility of the news media is to provide oversight over governments and to always be like a watchdog for the governments, because and to show what's negative about the government and the practices, and what's important for the citizens and the publics to learn and to know, to improve what's happening, and to show always the shortcomings of the government. This is of course tiring for us as journalists in our countries. For me, it was a hobby I wanted to be on TV. That was a wish. So I studied journalism, and so I moved from studying computer science to journalism and mass communication. So for me, I was just thinking all the time, how can I go to TV? How can I be on TV? So, and later I joined one of the news channels in Iraq. I spent as an intern 2 years with them. And the first report that I made, it was welcomed by the audience. So I started working and working hard. And I moved from the channel that I started with to another one that's better. I covered a lot of events, explosions, terrorist attacks in Mosul and Iraq, and ISIS as well. And now I'm an anchor. I have my own TV show for an hour. And this was a dream. And I have another dream to move to better channels in the future.
In the interest of time, I think maybe we could take another question, and then we can give you a lot more detail about the individuals and how they started, because there's a big panel, and to know why they got into journalism individually will take a while. I think in the back.
This is a question to anybody on the panel. So in America, one thing that I'm very thankful for is that young students have the opportunity in many different ways to create their own opinions. They have news, social media, like what parents say, what friends say. They have a lot of opportunities to find out what they believe and come up with their own opinions on how the country should run, how the country should be. So in your country, do students or young adults have the same opportunities to come up with their own opinions, build their own thoughts, or are most of the things that they see either bias or someone telling them how to think?
في الكويت عندنا بالجامعة جريدة اسمها آفاق. يعني يحق لكل طالب أن يعبر فيها. بالإضافة احنا عندنا التواصل الاجتماعي في تويتر، انستغرام، فيسبوك. لك الحرية أنك تعبر عن أفكارك وعن آرائك، بس
In my country, Kuwait, when we were at the university, we have a newspaper for the university. It calls Afaq. It's an opportunity for every single student to express their opinion on it. نعملها كملي بالعربي بس بدون سماعة لو سمحت ابعد المايك. Add to that, we can use social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. But we have to be considered that when we are having an input, we're supposed not to be insulting, humiliating, dehumanize any individual. Also, this is a good opportunity for students to work in a private newspaper. That's a good opportunity for students. And also, the students have the right to cover any topic or issue they want to. Also, we have one page on this newspaper, university newspaper. The students have the right to express their opinion and cover any topic they wish to cover. Mm. But could you please stand up again for the lady who already raised the question? Thank you very much, ma'am. Miss, sorry.
العالم اللي صغير اليوم عبر وصول عبر الانترنت لكل شيء لاي معلومه صعب انك تختزل وتقول انه هذه الدوله لها الحق ان تطلع هذا الخبر او تعطي هذا الراي ودوله.
This is actually a great question. Thank you so much for the question. I can say that in this new world, it's very difficult for someone to dominate the news wave, if you will, like to say that this kind of news is the only source of news. You're going to have multiple sources of news everywhere. And it's yeah, everyone can just get whatever news by just going online and checking. You can find all kinds of news about Palestine, Iraq, or any other country in the world. The only difference is the interests. The interests of American students or the American people are completely different from the interests of the Arab youth or people in the Middle East in general. But we all have many things in common when it comes to peace and humanity. This is a common thing that all of us share. Thank you.
This is directed towards the female journalists on the panel. I was wondering what challenges you face as a female in journalism in these countries, in just being able to do your job in comparison to your male colleagues or counterparts. And do you find any specific challenges that make it harder for you to do your job in comparison to male journalists?
So the challenges we face is the challenge of getting the information, because of it takes a lot of time for us to get the information, and sometimes actually we do whatever it takes, but still we cannot get the information we need. But a good journalist would be able to get the information from multiple sources, through his sources in this place or this ministry, this agency. And more importantly, you have to have precise information. You know, your information have to be accurate, the right information, otherwise it's going to be a problem. And I have a comment about a previous question about the censorship in the Arab world. What's happening is that the censorship is self-censorship from journalists themselves. Before the laws, before sanctions, before punishment, discipline, anything. A journalist has to be an honest person, and a professional and working more than being afraid of getting disciplined for doing what he thinks that it's the right thing to do. And as long as his information is accurate, nobody is going to do or is going to be able to do anything for him. So the most important element is being precise and to have your own self-censorship. معلش علشان الوقت.
The bell will ring in 5 minutes.
Right there.
So, basically, what is your best and worst experience in America so far?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Like what's your best and worst experience in America so far? It's directed to the panel. I mean, I'm not picky. It can be any of you.
Someone who hasn't talked yet, maybe someone.
Yeah. Bro, what's your best and worst experience, basically?
Hey, and when the bell rings, stay still.
طيب بالنسبة لأجمل تجربة في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية يعني
Most beautiful, wonderful experience for me in United States.
أنا كنت أتخيل إنه الولايات المتحدة
I
الأمريكية
was imagining that United States is.
بهذا التنوع الكبير الثقافات
It,
المختلفة
it did not come into my mind that United States it's very diverse. It comes with multiple cultures,
التي تمثل شعب هذا البلد.
which is represent in the component and of this country.
التحدي كان في كيف يدار هذا التنوع
So it's the biggest challenge how these diversity, multicultural are been run, living in harmony.
بحيث إنه تجعل من الولايات المتحدة هي التي تقود العالم.
So made the United States as the leading nation.
وفي ذات الوقت تحقق آمال وطموحات هذا الشعب.
At the same time, it help the people to achieve their dreams and ambitions.
فكانت استطاعت الولايات المتحدة أن تحقق كل هذه الأهداف وهذه هذه المرامي يعني كان يعني هذه أجمل تجربة.
So with all the achievements have been done by the United States and all the success that the United States provide or done, we were able to see it here, and that was a wonderful thing for us.
على الصعيد الآخر
On the other side,
يعني بالنسبة للشعب الأمريكي كنت أتخيل
for United States, I was imagining that
إنه هذا التقدم الكبير الذي يعيشه الشعب الأمريكي
all the progress that American people live in,
وبمثل اهتمامه بقضاياه الداخلية
and they are focusing and interesting in their local issues, national issues.
كنت أعتقد أن هذا الشعب
I was expecting this American people,
يكون أكثر اهتماما
they will be more interested in
بما يدور حوله في العالم.
Interested in what's going on around the world, around the universe, the globe.
وأن يكون لديه رؤية.
And they're supposed to have a vision.
خاصة فيما يتعلق بعلاقات الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الخارجية.
Especially with the relationship between the United States and other foreign countries.
وتأثير هذه العلاقات
and how is this relation affect on the policies toward these countries.
نعم هذا ما كنت أعتقده إنه الشعب يكون أكثر إلماما ومعرفة وتكوين فكرة.
So I thought like American people will have more knowledge, already form an opinion regarding foreign policies and relations with other countries. Thank you very much. سيد نسمح المجال لخليل. Mr. Khalil from Tunisia.
Unfortunately, our bell is going to ring in 30 seconds.
Guys, we emailed the faculty they know you're going to be 5 minutes late for your next class.
Okay. So, so what I'd like to do, ladies and gentlemen, is a warm round of applause for our guests. And thank you. I know some. Okay. So.
I just wanted to make sure. It's not working. I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that the whole panel totally appreciates the time that you have given us today. They really wanted to stay much, much longer to ask so many questions. These are journalists, and this is the essence of what they love to do. And we really appreciate you being here with all the great questions you guys gave us. Thank you again.